Hello channel viewers, I am DS, your psychologist, and welcome to another episode on Channel NITT. In this episode, we are going to talk about the compatibility between ENTJ and ESFP. One interesting thing about the ESFP and the ENTJ is that they have the same cognitive functions but in reverse order. So this is the cognitive stack of the ENTJ and this is the cognitive stack of the ESFP. For the ENTJ, TE is their dominant function, while TE is the tertiary function of the ESFP. The ESFP's dominant function is SE, while that is the tertiary function of the ENTJ. So in a way, they are similar but yet different. And it is very possible for people to mistake the ESFP for an ENTJ. And we're going to talk about this in a short while. So where can you find the ESFP? Personally, I have a very curious observation. So I observed that many of the head coaches, head nurse, head supervisors, they are usually ESFPs. There are a few possible reasons why the ESFP is made the heads in the service and education industry. One of the reasons could be they are really very friendly. The second reason is that they are really very willing to learn. And very importantly, the third reason is that the ESFPs are doers.
Nothing can stop what we can do together.
So not only do ESFP enjoy trying new things, they are also willing to learn. So in this regard, they are quite similar with the ENTJ. Because SE is the dominant function of the ESFP, the ESFP is very activity oriented. They are always meeting friends, they are always going out for lunches, tea, dinners. There is never a dull moment. Personally, as an ENTJ, I do not really enjoy having a lot of gatherings, especially when they are arranged back to back. And I also do not like home visiting. This is something that I found that ESFPs really enjoy. Visiting other people's homes and staying 5-6 hours in a person's place. I cannot. Although the ENTJ is an extrovert, like the ESFP, the ENTJ is a very introverted extrovert and could be very drained from doing social activities. The ENTJ is energized by thinking, but the ESFP is energized by doing, experiencing. So they are actually very different. Because SE is the dominant function for the ESFP, SE plays a very important role for the ESFP and it manifests itself in a lot of ways. So besides enjoying new experiences, meeting other people, meeting friends, the ESFP also likes to organize. SE is about extroverted sensing. So anything visual, auditory in the background, the ESFP will have a say. So the ESFP is very likely to organize their home, organize their bedroom, even their fridge or bathroom in a very specific way. You can even call them anal retentive or OCD. Besides organizing, the ESFP is also very likely to be very particular about their dressing, about hairstyle. This is going to be very different with the ENTJ because the ENTJ's SE is only a tertiary function. SE is the ENTJ's inner child. So it does not matter if my hair is messy. I have in a lot of my videos presented myself just as I am with messy hair, dark eye rings. It does not matter. A lot of people are actually giving me feedback saying that I should do this and that. Okay, and they usually come from the ESFPs or people with higher SE. So as you can already see, it is not very important for the ENTJ to look very presentable as long as you are dressed and it is appropriate. I think it is good enough. Content is more important because we lead by TE, and TE in this case is content for the video. On the other hand, the ESFP is bound to be very concerned about how to make yourself visually appealing. So on this level, they do not usually meet. So if the ESFP and the ENTJ can meet in the middle with regards to this issue, then fine. If not, they are going to be quarreling. Another problem I foresee between the ESFP and the ENTJ is that the ENTJ is not very organized. So the ENTJ's bedroom can be really messy, and this will cause the ESFP to nag and nag and nag. Also, the ENTJ is going to find the ESFP's need to organize things in a very particular way to be rather irritating. So maybe an ESFP may say red toothbrush first, followed by blue toothbrush, then yellow toothbrush. Why? Because she likes it that way. Well, the ENTJ sees no logic in this. So if they are living together, there is going to be a huge problem.
They got one more problem with you, girl. Hey!
Another manifestation of the SE for the ESFP is the ESFP is also very likely to outwardly criticize others. They are really outspoken. I have observed that a lot of the ESFPs that I know like to criticize others based on their tertiary TE. What do I mean by that? Based on their they like to correct people. They like to say, you never use your brain, is it? Huh? You got no common sense. In a way, the ESFP is very quick to recognize TI logic because they have TE, but TE is in their third position. But because TE is also not developed, so sometimes they really jump the gun and say things like I don't agree when they have not seen the entire picture yet. Because if your TE is really developed, you will be able to see a bigger global picture. Also, because the ESFP uses FI as their auxiliary function, it is sometimes also mediated by their personal opinion and personal feelings. So it is very common for you to hear an ESFP say, I don't care at all because I am the customer and customer is the boss. So this is something very FI. This is also why sometimes the ESFP can confuse people. At times they seem to be very logical, but the logic is not as logical as the ENTJ's logic. But on other times, they seem to have this double standard of pleasing themselves only. If you are a friend of an ESFP, you may have this experience. It is very hard to get along with the ESFP. On the one hand, they seem very friendly. Sometimes they can turn around and criticize you, and they assume that they are right, and they bite you to the end as well. Sometimes the ESFP likes to tell people what they think is right so much that you might think that they are an ENTJ or even an ESTJ. However, the difference is the ESFP are more willing to criticize than the ENTJ outwardly. So as I have mentioned earlier in this video, it is quite common to mistype the ESFP at first as an ENTJ or an ESTJ because they can be really bossy. And furthermore, because they are usually made supervisors, they are really bossy. However, one distinct difference between the ESFP and the ENTJ is that the ESFP is much more interested in posting a lot of their own photographs, group photographs onto social media. The ENTJ seldom does that. Because the ESFP likes to make things right, especially things on the outward right, they sometimes offend others, and people might find the ESFP really irritating. It does not help that NI is their fourth function. The inferior function for the ESFP is NI. So this means that the ESFP may not be really aware that other people are not happy with them. Curiously, while the ESFP may like to criticize others, they themselves cannot accept criticisms. So this is another of the double standard that I'm talking about. Not only are ESFPs able to accept criticisms, they also often bear grudges. So beware. One thing to note though is that the ESFP is actually a perceiver, not a judger. Although they might sometimes behave like judges. It's just that the SE is so strong, they want to get things organized. They want the things to look the way they should look. So it comes across as judges. So because the ESFP is really a perceiver, sometimes their opinions of something will change. So they may not like a person at first, but after getting to know a person better, their opinions of this person might really change. So it's not fixed. And in this regard, they can be really objective, which is a good thing. So can an ESFP and an ENTJ work? Well, because they have the same cognitive functions, I think it is easy for the ESFP to get along well with the ENTJ. The ENTJ can understand the ESFP. In other words, they can coexist. However, because TE is only a tertiary function for the ESFP, the ESFP is unlikely to understand the ENTJ. So my verdict for this relationship is that they are better off remaining as friends. Sometimes it is also very hard to be a friend with the ESFP because they can be so inconsistent, which is a very big problem for the ENTJ. Anyway, I'm speaking from the point of view of an ENTJ male, so I hope nobody is offended because you are also free to criticize me in your video, if you have one. Okay, if you have not subscribed to our channel, do consider subscribing so that we can continue to bring you more fun and MBTI. Okay, I am going to sign off now and I'll see you in my next episode. Goodbye!